Death feels the same every time, the burning sensation as plasma rounds tear through your chest. The cold that follows as your body shuts down. The darkness that swallows everything, and then, you wake up. Again. On the same transport ship. At the same exact moment. 14 hours before you die, this is the story of Private James Reeves, the only human soldier who remembers what's coming, because he's already lived through it 342 times, some call it a curse. He calls it an opportunity. Welcome to the longest day in human history. The war against the Zeer Collective had been going badly for humanity. Outgunned, outmaneuvered, and brutally outmatched by an enemy that seemed to anticipate our every move. 18 human colonies had fallen in less than a year. Arcadia Station was supposed to be different. A fortress in space, the last major human outpost in the Orion armed 10,000 soldiers, the best defensive systems humanity could build, and a clear tactical advantage. It should have been unbeatable. It fell in less than 6 hours. Private James Reeves was just another grunt in the 87th Orbital Drop Battalion. Nothing special about him. Average marks in combat training. No distinguished service record. Just one more body thrown at an unstoppable enemy, until the moment he died, and woke up again. Combat drop in 15 minutes, announced the transport's AI as Reeves gasped awake, his heart hammering against his ribs. The other soldiers around him checked their gear, made nervous jokes, or sat in tense silence. For them, it was the first time. For Reeves, it was loop number 3. "We're all going to die," he whispered, earning concerned glances from his squad mates. No one believed him, of course. Not the first time he tried to warn them. Not the 10th. Not the 50th. By the 100th loop, he stopped trying. Instead, he started learning. With each reset, Reeves memorized enemy positions, patrol patterns, weak points in their formations. He studied the station's schematics until he could navigate it blindfolded. He practiced combat maneuvers until his muscles remembered what his mind already knew would happen. In loop 127, he survived an extra hour by avoiding a Zeer ambush that had killed him 20 times before. In loop 184, he made it to the station's central command post before a Zeer hunter found him. In loop 233, he finally understood why humanity kept losing. The Zeer weren't just aliens, they were connected. A hive mind that shared information instantly, adapting to human tactics faster than commanders could issue new orders, but the hive had a center. A nexus, and Reeves was going to find it. Combat drop in 14 minutes, announced the transport's AI as the soldiers around him prepared for battle. None of them knew they were heading for slaughter. None of them remembered dying hundreds of times. "You look like you've seen a ghost, Reeves," said Sergeant Rodriguez, noticing his 1,000-yard stare. Reeves checked his rifle with practiced precision. "Just visualizing the mission, Sarge." Rodriguez nodded approvingly. "First combat drop." "You could say that," Reeves replied. "And my 343rd, the orbital drop was always the same. 60 transport pods screaming through Arcadia's atmosphere. Anti-aircraft fire taking out 17 of them before they even reached the ground. Their pod, number 42, landing 2 kilometers south of its intended drop zone. This time, when the doors blew open, Reeves was already moving. "Sniper, North Ridge, 50 meters, he called out, diving behind cover exactly 3 seconds before the shot that had killed Rodriguez every previous time. The sergeant flattened himself just as a round whizzed overhead. "How the hell did you know?" Rodriguez gasped. Reeves was already marking positions on his tactical display. 3 patrol squads converging on our position. Heavy weapons team setting up on the eastern approach. We need to move underground. Those aren't on our intel, the sergeant protested. Trust me, Reeves said. Your intel is wrong. Against protocol but with growing respect for Reeves' seemingly supernatural awareness, Rodriguez followed his lead. So did the rest of the squad. For the first time in 342 loops, all 12 members of Drop Team Foxtrot survived the first hour. I don't understand how you know all this, Rodriguez said as they navigated through maintenance tunnels that Reeves had mapped through countless failed attempts. Would you believe me if I told you I've done this before? Reeves asked. Not a chance, Rodriguez replied, then hesitated. But I also can't explain how you knew about that ambush back there. Reeves checked his chronometer. In exactly 47 seconds, a Zier demolition team will blow the supports 3 levels above us. We need to be through that door before it happens. On cue, the station shook violently as explosions tore through the structure. Dust and debris rained down, but Drop Team Foxtrot was already safely through the indicated doorway. Rodriguez stared at Reeves with a mixture of awe and suspicion. Who are you really, Private? Just a guy who's died too many times to fail again, Reeves replied. With each passing hour, Reeves led his team deeper into Arcadia Station. He knew exactly which corridors were trapped, which security systems had been compromised, and where surviving human forces had established fallback positions, but he also knew something no one else did: the Zier weren't trying to destroy the station. They were looking for something that in Loop 298, he had discovered a heavily guarded section that didn't appear on any official schematics. In Loop 325, he had managed to get close enough to see Zier scientists working on what appeared to be an ancient artifact. Whatever it was, the Zier wanted it badly. And if they wanted it, humanity needed to deny them. That's a research lab, Rodriguez said as Reeves outlined his plan to reach the hidden section. What would the Zier want with our scientists? Not our scientists, Reeves corrected. What we were studying. The quantum core. The term meant nothing to Rodriguez or the others. Above their clearance level, beyond their need to know. But Reeves had pieced it together, one death at a time. It's alien tech. Older than human civilization. Maybe older than the Zier too. Something both sides want, but only the Zier know how to use. And how exactly do you know all this, Private? Rodriguez demanded. Reeves checked his weapon, a habit from hundreds of deaths. Because in about 2 hours, I'm going to die. Again. And when I do, I'll wake up back on that transport. Unless we destroy the core. He expected disbelief. Instead, Rodriguez studied him for a long moment before nodding slowly. My sister worked in quantum physics before the war, he said quietly. She talked about temporal anomalies. Scenarios where time could loop back on itself under extreme conditions. He took a deep breath. How many times have you lived this day, Reeves? 342 loops. Today will be 343. And you die every time. Every single time. Rodriguez's face hardened with determination. Not this time. With a newfound belief in Reeves' impossible story, Drop Team Foxtrot moved with purpose through the dying station. They rescued stranded personnel, salvaged crucial equipment, and systematically worked their way toward the hidden research sector, but the Zier were adapting faster now. Even with Reeves' foreknowledge, the alien tactics were shifting, becoming more aggressive, more desperate. They know, Reeves realized with growing dread. Somehow, they know I'm coming for the core. 4 hours into the battle, Drop Team Foxtrot had dwindled to 7 members. Good soldiers lost despite Reeves' best efforts. The pain of their deaths weighed on him. He had come to know each of them through hundreds of conversations across hundreds of loops. We're getting close, he told the survivors as they rested briefly in an abandoned medical bay. 2 more levels down, past their main defense line. Rodriguez wiped blood from a cut above his eye. That's a suicide run. I've tried every other approach, Reeves said. This is the only way. How many times have you made it this far? Asked Corporal Chen, the team's demolition expert. 17, Reeves admitted. Never with this many people still alive. And what's the plan once we reach this core thing? Rodriguez asked. Reeves pulled out stolen schematics he'd memorized from a previous loop. We destroy it. Chen's charges placed at these 3 points should create a cascading reaction. And that breaks your loop? Rodriguez asked. Reeves shrugged. Either that, or I die permanently this time. Either way, the Zier don't get what they came for. The final push was brutal. The Zier had concentrated their elite guard around the research sector, towering insectoid warriors with natural armor that could deflect standard ammunition. Only precision shots to their sensory organs could bring them down. Reeves led the way, his movements fluid, almost precognitive. 300 loops of dying had taught him patience, precision, and perfect timing. When they finally breached the research sector, only Reeves, Rodriguez, and Chen remained alive. The quantum core hung suspended in the center of a vast chamber, a pulsing, crystalline structure that seemed to bend light around it. Zero scientists worked frantically at control terminals surrounding it. "That's it," Reeves breathed. "The reason they keep coming. The reason I keep looping." "Set the charges," Rodriguez ordered Chen, taking up a defensive position. As Chen worked quickly on the explosives, a low hum filled the chamber. The core's pulsing quickened, the light it emitted shifting through colors humans had no names for. "They're activating it." Reeves shouted. From a side entrance, a Zero figure emerged unlike any Reeves had seen before. Larger, more ornate, its carapace adorned with symbols that seemed to move of their own accord. The Nexus, Reeves realized. The central intelligence of the hive mind that IT spoke, not in words but directly into their minds. "Time Walker. We have been waiting for you." Rodriguez and Chen froze, unable to move under the psychic assault. Only Reeves, somehow protected by his hundreds of loops, could still function. "You know about me," he said, "that we have felt the ripples. The same battle, fought countless times. A human who defies causality. This is why we came. This is what we sought." The revelation hit Reeves like a physical blow. "The core isn't causing my loop. I'm causing it." "Yes. You are the anomaly. A quantum entanglement with the core, triggered in your first death. Every reset strengthens the connection. So destroying it, will end your cycle. But it will also destroy something precious. Knowledge. Power over time itself." Reeves raised his weapon. "That's not meant for us. Not for you either." The Nexus moved closer, its presence overwhelming. "Join us, Time Walker. Share your gift. Together, we could control." A single shot rang out. The Nexus staggered back, green fluid seeping from between its armored plates. "I've killed you 17 different ways across 17 different loops," Reeves said coldly. "I've had a lot of practice." As the Nexus collapsed, Zero warriors throughout the station suddenly faltered, momentarily disconnected from their controlling intelligence. "Charges set." Chen called out. 2-minute timer. Rodriguez added. Reeves stared at the core, its rhythmic pulsing now synchronized with his heartbeat. In a strange way, it felt like coming home. "You two get out," he said quietly. "I need to make sure it's destroyed." Rodriguez gripped his shoulder. "That's not the plan, Reeves. This was always the plan. Every loop ends with me dying here. The difference is, this time it means something." After a moment of tense silence, Rodriguez nodded grimly. "It's been an honor, somehow, serving with you through one day or hundreds." As his teammates retreated, Reeves approached the core. The Zero scientists had fled with the death of the Nexus, leaving him alone with the ancient artifact. That he placed his hand near its surface, feeling the strange energy that had bound them together across hundreds of loops. "Time to break the cycle," he whispered. The explosion ripped through the research sector with devastating force. The quantum core shattered into 1,000 fragments, each piece releasing stored temporal energy in a blinding flash. As death came for James Reeves one final time, he felt something different. Not the usual cold darkness, but a warm, expanding sensation. Time itself seemed to fracture around him, possibilities branching out in infinite directions. For the first time in 343 loops, he didn't know what would happen next, and it felt like freedom. 3 days after the Battle of Arcadia Station, the war with the Zero Collective took an unexpected turn. Without their Nexus, the alien forces fell into disarray. Coordinated attacks became scattered and ineffective. The hive mind that had made them so formidable was fractured. Humanity, sensing weakness, pressed the advantage. Within weeks, 3 lost colonies were reclaimed. Within months, the Zir were in full retreat. On Arcadia Station, reconstruction crews found something curious in the wreckage of the research sector. Amid the twisted metal and radiation-scarred corridors, small crystals remained, fragments of the quantum core, still faintly pulsing with energy, and occasionally, workers reported strange phenomena. Tools that appeared before they were needed. Warning systems that activated seconds before accidents would have occurred. A persistent feeling that someone was watching over them, guiding them. Some said the station was haunted by those who died defending it. Others proposed more scientific theories about temporal echoes and quantum imprinting. Sergeant Rodriguez, promoted for his heroism during the battle, had his own theory. Whenever he returned to Arcadia Station, he would visit the memorial wall where the names of the fallen were inscribed. He would always pause longest at one particular name, Private James Reeves. Still keeping watch, Time Walker, he would whisper. Still fighting the battle. And sometimes, just sometimes, he could swear he heard a familiar voice reply, "Every loop counts." The legend of the Quantum Mercenary spread through military ranks and eventually into civilian culture. The soldier who fought one battle countless times to save humanity. The man who broke time itself to secure victory. Scientists studied the remaining core fragments for decades, never fully understanding their properties. Temporal physics advanced by leaps and bounds, but no one ever replicated the conditions that created Reeves' loop. Perhaps that was for the best. What they did confirm was that the quantum core had been transmitting signals, not just through space, but through time itself. Signals that had attracted the Zir, signals that might attract something else if they continued. By destroying the core, Reeves hadn't just saved Arcadia Station. He had prevented something much worse from finding humanity. The war with the Zir eventually ended not with their destruction, but with understanding. Without their nexus forcing unity, individual Zir began to develop independence. Some even sought peace. The knowledge gained from studying both the core fragments and the new, evolving Zir led to a revolutionary theory: consciousness itself might be the true quantum force in the universe. The ability to observe, to remember, to change based on experience, these might be the fundamental forces that shaped reality. Private James Reeves had proven that a single consciousness, sufficiently determined, could bend even time to its will. A century after the Battle of Arcadia, temporal physics was still taught using what became known as the Reeves paradox: how one man, through sheer repetition and will, altered the course of history. Not bad for a grunt with average marks in combat. Training: some say time is linear, marching forward without pause or deviation. Private James Reeves would disagree that he lived the same day 343 times, and on the last time, he made it count. That if you enjoyed this story about one soldier's fight against time itself, hit the subscribe button for more epic tales from humanity's future history. Next time, the human virus: how creativity toppled an empire. Let us know in the comments, what would you do if you were caught in a time loop during the most important battle of your life? Thanks for watching.